What's going on, everybody? It's end of day one on the bone broth fast, so I want to go ahead and do a little bit of a recap, answer some questions. Hopefully, we get some people here. Connectivity isn't real good right now on my phone, so hopefully, broadcast is all good, everything's all clear. So I'm going to wait for a couple minutes here for some people to join, and then we'll go ahead and we'll go through kind of what happened day to day, ketone levels, glucose levels, just the overall big picture. So if you are doing the bone broth fast with me, then awesome. Happy to have you here. Sorry for the cruddy lighting right now. I'm literally in my truck because I stepped outside because the baby just went down for a nap, or went down for bed, not for a nap. Hopefully a long 7 or 8 hour nap. Uh, Awesome to see so many people here. So many people already saying they're feeling really good. So the whole purpose of this video is to go ahead and recap how everyone's doing on their bone broth fast, how they're doing on this first day. For those of you that are familiar with the fasting challenge, then you're already good to go. You know what's going on. But let me give a little bit of a recap as to what we're doing, because there's already people saying, hey, why today? Why are you talking about fasting today? Well, the reason is I'm doing a 3 day bone broth fast, and I posted up a challenge, posted up like a really fun thing for everybody to do, just to do some fasting alongside me throughout the week. So basically, you could do 3 to 5 days with a bone broth fast. That's kind of how it ended up going. I started mine today, so obviously I'm only 1 day into a fast, no big deal. I do this kind of stuff all the time, but it's a little bit different because I've got a lot of people doing it with me. So for those of you that didn't know about the bone broth fast, you can still participate this week. Again, I'm doing it today through Wednesday, but you can do it any days this week. So yeah, Kevin says drop the broth and just fast. Totally down for that. I love doing that. I do that myself, but I'm trying to do this as a little bit of a challenge for a lot of people, and I wanted to make it as entry level as possible, but at the same time, still a good challenge for those that are looking for a longer fast. Um, Someone asked, can we drink herbal or matcha green tea on the bone broth fast? Yes, you absolutely can. Just don't add any sweetener, don't add any cream or anything like that. So everyone that's here right now that is doing the bone broth fast, can you just go ahead and say, I'm doing the bone broth fast? Just type it just so that I know who's doing the challenge with me. For those of you, again, that aren't, I think you're going to learn a lot just from what happens over the next few days of these posts and what I end up posting at the end of the week when I give you my full recap. Lots of people doing the bone broth fast. Awesome. Lamentor, Michelle, awesome. Good to hear you doing it. Tiffany, glad you're doing it. John, awesome. Okay, so let me go ahead and just give you a little bit of feedback from what happened. And again, guys, I do apologize for the lighting here. It's dark out. I'm sitting in my truck. I just wanted to pop in and do this really quick. So what I noticed today was that the bone broth actually, in some ways, made me more hungry than just fasting through and through. So, like, if I didn't use the bone broth, I think today would have been easier. So, I fast 24 hours all the time. Okay, it's like really pretty easy. What's interesting is that adding the bone broth into the mix actually made me a little bit more hungry. So I think it had something to do with I was still triggering that dopamine response. So it was really interesting to see that. Did anyone else experience that? Like, for those of you that were doing this fast along with me, if you're experienced with fasting, did you notice that having the bone broth actually made you a little bit more hungry than if you were just fasting without it? Okay, David Walker says he agrees. Yeah, exactly, Drew, exactly. Dopamine response. Okay, a lot of people saying that. So it's interesting because normally the protein, the collagen can kind of give you a little bit of a satiation effect, and that's totally cool. But what's interesting, I think what's going on with this bone broth fast is that it's the dopamine response. So what's going on is when you're fasting, you're not having these constant dopamine hits in your brain telling you that you're eating or telling you that you're satisfying this response. So that response turns off. Your craving response sort of shuts down. You don't have those cravings. But when you're fasting with bone broth, you are still triggering that dopamine hit. So you're consuming some broth, has a couple of calories, and you're satisfying that dopamine hit, and it's making the cravings come. Now, I'm not saying that's good, bad, or ugly. I'm just saying it's an observation that I've noticed that doing this bone broth fast today, when I'm actually taking notes and doing what I'm doing for this particular challenge to kind of self-experiment with everybody, I am definitely noticing that I'm more hungry than if I were to just do a normal fast. So interesting. And a lot of people asking about coffee on this bone broth fasting challenge. Yes, you're totally okay. Coffee is totally good to go. Just no creamer. Try not to add stevia. I would really like this fast to be more about not having any sort of excitotoxin response or any sort of sweetener response at all. Someone says, I don't get how you'll have bowel movements with this fast. Believe it or not, it's going to actually help clean you out. You're going to find that there's a lot in there still, even from days prior, and it's going to help clean you out. By day 2 or 3, you're going to feel really, really good. Vegans can definitely do this. You can use regular vegetable broth. You're not going to get as much of a collagen effect. Hey, can you guys do me a real quick favor, just as a courtesy? Can you go ahead and hit that thumbs up button really quick? I'm trying not to do a whole bunch of the normal constantly asking questions and being really annoying on a live broadcast, but I do want to ask you guys, if you can, if you're watching this, if you can hear me, I would just really appreciate that you hit that thumbs up button, that like button, only because what that does is it makes it so that the other people that are doing this fast actually see this video. YouTube makes it so that, yeah, you can see it in your feed if people actually like it. So how much water is needed if you're going to be doing this fast? I wanted to answer that question. Drink as much water as you possibly can. Especially, you're going to find that in any kind of fasting state, you're going to start losing some of your extra minerals. The nice thing with this bone broth fast is we're getting that, we're getting the minerals in a little bit more. We're getting the sodium in, we're getting that. So let me go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a breakdown on how my day went. And I'm going to give you some full disclaimer on yesterday, how yesterday went, because that leads into a lot of how today was and how my experience was with day 1. Now, again, for those of you just joining in, we're on day 1 of a 3-day bone broth fast. So should be interesting. Okay, so I started at 190 pounds. Okay, so that's my starting weight. Last night, I decided, before going on this bone broth fast, I wanted to have a little bit of fun. I wanted to actually have some enlightened, like Halo Top ice cream with my wife and actually enjoy a little bit. So went to a vegan bakery and I got a vegan donut. It's made with spelt flour and really, super healthy donut as far as things are concerned. But anyway, it was a lot more carbs than I would normally have. I figured, okay, I'm going to enjoy myself. So what's interesting is that my fasting blood sugar today, when I woke up, was 95. For those of you that are familiar with these kind of numbers, for someone like myself that's fasts a lot and does keto a lot, to have, whoops, hang on guys. I went dark. I told you I'm sitting in my truck. Hang on, I gotta turn the lights on. Bear with me 1 second. I'm still here. There we go, I'm back. So, sorry about that guys. There we go. Okay, so for someone like myself, that is pretty darn high, right? That's really high. Now, the reason that was going on, because I've actually done videos talking about this, when someone is actually fat adapted, what happens is you end up having what's called glucose. Cells actually get less efficient at using glucose. So what happens is, because of that, they actually start to reject glucose a little bit. And therefore, my blood glucose ends up being quite a bit higher. Now, this will balance out as I start, if I were to consume more carbs, right? So it was really interesting. Now, my ketone levels were pretty low. My ketone levels were 0.2. So that was pretty interesting. But, can you guys hear me? Hang on a second, guys. Can you guys hear me okay? Because what happened is when I turned the car back onto accessory, it might have picked up on my Bluetooth. So I just want to make sure. Okay, you guys can hear me now, though? Okay, cool. I appreciate that. I know it cut out for a second. It was just the Bluetooth kicking on. So fasting blood glucose 95, which is high, but that basically means that it was just my body being glucose refusing. So cells stopped accepting glucose a little bit easier. Ketones were at like 0.2, 0.3, which wasn't a surprise. They were low because I had carbs. Okay, so then I went and I had some black coffee, just straight up cold brew, right? So that was straightforward, pretty easy. Went out and I worked out. And I did my time under tension style workout that I advised everyone do, like that style of workout. Pretty high volume. Because I had the carbs, I wanted to do a little bit extra. So I did a little bit more volume than I normally would have done. So I did a pretty intensive full body workout with a focus on legs. Now, then I did like 12 minutes of HIIT cardio afterwards. Here's what's really wild. After that workout, guys, my blood glucose was crazy high. My blood glucose was 109. Now, that was concerning to me because my blood glucose is never that high. So I think that glucose refusal situation that I was in, then coupled with that with a hard workout, it was really wild. I think it really skyrocketed my blood glucose. So I know I said no cardio. You don't have to. Like I said, my situation was a little bit different. I went out and I did some HIIT. I don't recommend that you go doing like low intensity cardio while you're doing this. I was trying to get more of an anaerobic effect. So what was wild was that blood glucose was so high. But interestingly enough, that actually made sense. That's why I was having these cravings on this fast that I would normally not have. So I'm not concerned, and I don't want you guys to be concerned with your blood glucose being a little bit higher if you're someone that normally does keto or you're normally fasting a lot and then you were to have carbs. That's totally a normal situation. But I want to take this time and I want to answer some questions regarding the bone broth fast. Anyone that is doing it along with me, you probably have some questions, and I want to know how you're feeling. Someone actually says, is chicken bone broth better than beef bone broth? Okay, so personally, I like the taste of chicken bone broth better, but the beef bone broth in this particular case is going to have more collagen. So I would recommend you go with the beef bone broth if you can. Guys, actually, someone says, does the bone broth temperature matter? Does it have to be warm or hot? Can you drink it cold? You absolutely can drink it cold. There's no reason that you can't. It's a little bit more satisfying to have it warm, that's for sure. And then just making your own bone broth okay or preferred. Definitely okay. Definitely okay to make your own. Can you explain collagen? Ron, that's a good question. So collagen is something that makes up 30% of all the protein in our bodies as is. Okay, so collagen is what makes up our hair, our skin, our nails, our ligaments, our tendons, things like that. It's also one of the first places that the body will pull protein from whenever you're doing any kind of fast or whenever you're going through what's called gluconeogenesis. Okay, so that's why it's so important to supplement with it or take it in any way, just because it's what your body's going to draw from. That's why it's so popular on keto. Someone asked if the green detox, like greens powders, are okay on a fast. Actually, no. Try to keep them out of the equation. Obviously, I formulated that product, but I don't have it on a fast. So someone says, what is the best, hang on, sorry, there's 8 ounces for breakfast, 8 ounces for lunch. Someone asked what the quantities are. 8 ounces for breakfast, 8 ounces for lunch, and 12 ounces or more for dinner. If you guys start getting foggy or anything like that, you can add coconut oil into it. John Reichert, this fast is 3 days. So started today, going through Wednesday, but you guys can do it any day this week. This whole week is dedicated to this bone broth fast, so I can encourage more people to do it. Can you put carrots in your bone broth? Not for this fast. This really just needs to be the broth. Basically, what we're trying to do is give the digestive system a break. Steven, you bring up something great. What have I ever had issues while fasting when it comes down to sleep? Yes, and there's a very good chance, if you haven't experienced this before, that if you've never done this kind of fast before, that you're going to probably have some rocky sleep tonight. It's a little bit normal. It's basically the body sort of rebooting. You have all these catecholamine responses, these different stress responses that are occurring because you're fasting. So don't be surprised if you end up sleeping a little bit wacky tonight. It's just kind of par for the course. Kevin asks, does the bone broth prevent autophagy? To some degrees, it does. Yes, but that's not the purpose of this fast. This fast is more about A, a caloric deficit, but B, also the leaky gut awareness, really trying to really reboot that gut as much as we can. So that's really the goal there. Can you add more collagen? Normally you can, but not on this fast. I don't want you to add more calories. No spirulina, don't add that to it. Is vegetable broth okay? Yes, you absolutely can use vegetable broth, okay. Cinnamon, yes, you could add that in. Does it affect Hashimoto? I think this would be a great fast to do if you're someone that is dealing with a thyroid issue, if you need to reboot a little bit. Do you work out all 3 days? Good question. Totally your prerogative. I'm going to work out all 3 days. Tomorrow, I'm going to do another full body work routine with a little bit more emphasis on back. So still another big body part. I'm trying to push it quite a bit on this. I I had some carbs yesterday, so I'm just like, okay, let's see. I'm just gonna push it. So that's just me. You don't have to work out all 3 days. How am I going to break my fast? This is a great question, because normally I would say break your fast with bone broth, but you're already consuming bone broth, so it might not be the best bet there. In this case, if you're doing keto, I would recommend making your fast actually with still a small amount of bone broth, but this time add like a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of coconut oil in it, and then wait an hour and then consume something very easy to digest. I would recommend, if you're doing keto, something like some salmon. It's easy to palate, it's easy to get down, it's easy to masticate, easy to digest. Okay, so I would recommend something like that. Try to keep the veggies out until probably the next day, because it's going to be a little bit hard on your gut. If you are not keto, when you break this fast, you can go ahead and break the fast with something as simple to digest as like a corn tortilla, or they make these amazing little potato tortillas. They're just like tortillas made from potato starch. Try not to have any gluten, anything like that. It'd be just really hard on your system. Supplements and chlorella. Yes, supplements are okay as long as they're water soluble. If you go back and you watch the video that I posted yesterday, there was like an actual produced video, not a live. I give you the breakdown on what exactly you should be doing. Can you add Great Lakes collagen to standard organic broth? That's a good question. Yeah, you could add just like a half tablespoon of that and probably get the same effect if you can't get bone broth. Not going to be quite as good, but still. Any substitution for cream of tartar that doesn't break a fast? Just pop a potassium pill, honestly. That's probably going to be the simplest way. Hey, we have quite a few people on this broadcast. Can you guys do me a favor and just hit that like button. So it's a little thumbs up button. Should show if you are in portrait mode looking at your phone. There's a thumbs up button, a like button. That just allows you to like this broadcast so that, there you go, I can see people doing it. That allows it to show up on other people's feeds simply because YouTube is a lot like Facebook in that sense. They actually do want to see engagement, and that's how they actually show the video and rank the video. Yeah, some people can't find it. You actually usually, if you're watching it, you usually have to like close it out and it's kind of funky, but you might see it. Anyway, I see a lot of people hit that like button, so I appreciate it. Should you eat carbs after your workout? If you're doing this bone broth fast, then no. Generally, I'm not a big fan of that anyway. Still have a lot of people hitting the regular thumbs up button emoticon. That's good for me too. I appreciate that. Any comments, things like that are great. What is the unhealthiest food ever? That's kind of an off-topic question, but I would probably say Oreos. Yeah, so it says you have to close the chat. So if you guys are actually watching this broadcast and you have the chat open, if you close the chat portion, take it out of live chat mode, then you can like. That'll allow you to hit that like button. So just close the chat portion, then hit the like button, just like you would any other YouTube video. Mike, glad to hear you're doing the bone broth fast. Hey, since a lot of people have joined in here, I want to just go ahead and ask again, who all here is doing the bone broth fast with me right now? Who's doing it? Again, we're going from today till Wednesday. Who here is doing it? Just say, I'm doing the bone broth fast. Oh, lots of people. Okay, Mark, there we go. Jamie, awesome. Okay, Cameron, lots of people. We got Jeffrey Hall. We got Mila. We got Misael. Awesome. You and your wife. I even got my wife to do it. My wife is not a big faster. She's a keto girl at heart, like through and through, but she's not a big faster. I got her to at least commit to 24 hours, and I think she's going to keep going. So Nancy, awesome. So many people. Thomas Anderson, awesome. Okay, we've got a ton of people here doing this. This makes my day. Barbara, awesome. Good to see you. Katie, awesome. Andrea says her boyfriend is 40 hours deep and going. Aaron, awesome. Jason, awesome. Okay, this is great. So what's the general consensus? And guys, don't be shy. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you don't feel good. I want to know the honest truth. I'm not going to lie. I feel a little bit foggy today, more so than I do if I'm fasting without bone broth. So I'm just curious. Tell me how you feel. Everyone on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being phenomenal, 1 being like total dog crap. What do you feel like right now? Just give me a scale of 1 to 10. I love seeing this community side of things and see how people are doing. An 8, 10, 7. Benjamin's a 7. We got a lot of 9s. A lot of 9s coming in. 5, 6, 7. Everyone's feeling pretty darn good. I would say that I'm a 7.5 to an 8 right now myself. So usually if this was a regular fast, I'd probably be closer to a 9. I think tomorrow I'm going to be a lot better off. Lots of 8s, lots of 7s. Okay, 7, 8, 9 seems to be the consensus here. So that's really good. That makes me really, really happy. Tomorrow is going to be the interesting day. When you hit day 2, that's when things get a little bit trickier because like that 36-hour mark is the toughest mark, I will honestly say. After 36 hours, it's been shown that ghrelin, that hunger hormone, starts to subside a little bit. So that shuts off some other hormonal systems. It shuts off kind of the hypothalamic, pituitary, adrenal axis a little bit. It changes it, or actually it amps it up in a way that actually protects you so you don't feel as hungry, which therefore makes it so your brain is feeling a little bit better. Here's an interesting challenge for you guys. If you are trying to like multitask and do things like that during this fast, you're going to find that you get really foggy. And the point is that your brain does a really good job at focusing on single tasks when you're fasting, especially in a situation like this with a longer fast. Your brain gets really good at focusing on single tasks because it harnesses the energy and it tries to focus you because you're running on a lower, quote unquote, lower amount of energy. So the brain sort of just funnels into whatever you're focusing on. So you'll notice that if you're trying to do multiple things at once, you feel really cruddy. And if you're really focusing on one thing, you can get super, super focused. You can really get laser targeted. So that's what's really interesting about a longer fast like this. A lot of people talking about the snake diet. Yeah, Cole's a good dude. So Cole is going to be out in LA in January, and we're hoping to get together and do some videos there. So, you know, Cole is the snake diet guy. Interesting approach. A little bit extreme, but I love the guy. I love the way his approach is. Wheatgrass, unfortunately, you cannot do in this fast. You got to keep it super simple. Pink Himalayan salt, you're good to go. I'm a big fan of Redmond's real salt. I tend to like that stuff a lot better. Joe says no BCAAs added to broth, but since we're looking to improve gut health, would glutamine be acceptable? Glutamine would be okay. I'd be totally okay with glutamine. Swallowing mouthwash, yeah, I would try to abstain from even using mouthwash during this fast, just because there's usually some acesulfame, potassium, other artificial sweeteners in there. Man, so many people doing the fast. This is so awesome. 88 hour fasting past 48 hours is tough. Yeah, it is. You broke your fast at 23. Hey, still not bad. We're awesome. Did anyone is anyone logging anything? I'm curious if anyone here is logging their glucose or their ketones or anything like that, because that's what's really interesting. I found this evening, it took me literally just till this evening to get into a state of ketosis again. So I was back in ketosis in, let's see, well, probably about 16 hours, 17 hours in. That's what I thought was really interesting. Sometimes if I am actually not doing a bone broth fast, it takes me a longer time to get into keto. Mega Super Lionheart says, Thomas DeLauer, you're looking deflated. You can't even see my body. How do I look deflated? I'm like in like horrible lighting in my truck. I don't even understand. 70 pounds down. William Seaman, holy cow. 70 pounds down from the videos. That is amazing, man. So just so you know, Katie, some people are asking about the bone broth fast. I'm doing this bone broth fast partially because my just wanted to bring awareness to autoimmune disease, to leaky gut, to autoimmune conditions, diverticulitis, also irritable bowel syndrome, but other autoimmune conditions too. Like we're talking lupus, we're talking Hashimoto, we're talking things like that, because bone broth is really big on helping that leaky gut aspect. So I wanted to do this just to kind of bring awareness to that concept, but also being able to just do something that was easier for people to do. Bone broth fasts are a little bit easier because you have something that you're consuming. It feels like you're actually consuming meals. So it's nice to be able to do this as a group, because it's great for the more advanced people, but it's also great just for people that are beginning. And I don't say that you have to do the 3 days. You can do 2 days, you can do 1 day. But the nice thing is that we're doing this all together. And the other thing I'm thinking of doing in February, I was thinking of doing a challenge for myself, because a lot of people always ask. Now, full disclaimer, guys, like full disclaimer, I'm not vegan, okay? I'm not a vegan. I'm not even vegetarian, but I'm not anti-vegan. I'm not anti-vegetarian. So I'm thinking in February, what I want to do is encourage people to do 1 week of a vegan keto diet with me, because I want to try that out and I want to see how difficult it is. And I want to give tips as we go, but I also want to kind of prove a point to a lot of the vegans that are out there that it can be done if it's done properly, and sort of basically just give the instinct on how to do it. Give the breakdown of how to get your proteins, so it'll be interesting. So I'm thinking that I'll do another challenge. It's really a lot of fun to be able to actually get a group of people to do this with me, because otherwise, I don't know, you guys are just flying at it. I'm just going at it. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. Awesome. A lot of people are already saying that they want to do that in February. Sweet. I think it's just fun to do these challenges. It's fun to do the self-experimentation kind of thing and just learn some new stuff along the way. So this is early on in this fast. So guys, just so you know, I'm going to hop on here again tomorrow, and I'll hop on here again the next day. And I'm going to break down where I'm going with this and how I'm feeling and how things are going. So guys, just continue to ask your questions, continue to post your comments. I will try to come on in here tomorrow and answer some comments as much as I can. But yeah, this is almost like a form of, Mira says, like group therapy. It is. It's fun for us to go through this together. So I hope that I answered some of your questions. But anyway, I gave you a little bit of some updates on my fasting glucose, on where I'm at with my ketones. And let's go ahead and keep on rocking. And I will see you guys tomorrow. If you have any ideas or anything you have questions on, post them down in the comment section below. All right. You guys are awesome. See you guys soon.